Welcome to the session 2 of the occupational hazard and control principles. So, in this session, it will be going to cover about the Occupational Safety Health Act. Is generally it is called as OSHA, OSHA. On the basis of these directive principles and international instruments, the government of India declare its policies, priorities, strategies, and the purposes through the exercise of its power. The government of India enacted the statutes related to occupational safety and health at workplaces. At present, the comprehensive safety and health, the statutes for regulating occupational safety and health at workplace mainly exist in respect of the four sectors, namely the manufacturing, mining, ports, and constructions. So, whatever the four main legislations that occur are covered under the occupational safety and health at workplace are: number one, the Factories Act 1948, so which will going to covering the factories wherein the enforcement of the safety at the workplace is by the chief inspector of factories in the respective state. Number two is the Mines Act 1952 and Mines Rules 1955 for mining industries, where the enforcement is by the Directorate General of Mine Safety, that is called as DGMS, under the Ministry of Labor and Employment, Government of India. Then third one is related with the dock workers, that is the Safety, Health and Welfare Act 1986, followed by the notifications of dock workers, that is the Safety, Health and Welfare Regulations 1990, dealing with the major ports of India, and enforcement is by the Directorate General of Factories Advice Service and Labor Institute, that is DGFASLI, under the Ministry of Labor and Employment, Government of India. Then last one, the building and other construction workers, that is regulations of employment and conditions of Service Act 1996, covering the construction works at construction site, wherein the enforcement is by the Directorate General Level Welfare in the central sphere, and by the labor commissioners, factory inspectors in the states or the union territories. Let us see about the first whatever the Factories Act 1948. So whatever the 1948 Act, it was the first. This one, the Factories Act in India, was passed in 1881. Though this legislation was initiated to promote the interest of the producers in the Lancashire and Manchester in UK, that is United Kingdom, that is before the independent. So it has since then steadily developed into a welfare measure of the wide contents and the coverage through innumerable the amendments and reenactments, as observed by the Supreme Court of India in case of Nagpur Electrical Light and Power Company. The scope of the factory legislation has been now very much enlarged in order to secure health, safety, welfare, proper working hours, leaves, working conditions, and benefits of the workers employed in factories. And the present act of the factory means any premises in which 10 or more workers are working and manufacturing process is carried out, on which the aid of power, any premises in which 20 or more workers are working and manufacturing process is carried out without the aid of power. Recently, this definition has been undergone change in some of the state of India, where under the Act, factory means any premises in which 20 or more workers are working and manufacturing process is carried out on with the aid of power, or any premises in which 40 or more workers are working and manufacturing is carried out without the aid of power. So like that the classifications has been made. Whereas the whatever the chapter 2 is there of the act deals with the inspection stop, then chapter 3 is deals with the act with the health, and chapter 4 deals with the safety. Whereas the chapter 4a, that is a provision related to hazardous process, was added in the present act in 1988 after the Bhopal gas tragedy, on which on the 2nd and 3rd December of 1984 at Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, where the over 5 lakh peoples were exposed to the methyl isocyanate gas and other chemicals. Then the chapter 7 of the act deals with the employment of the young persons and prohibits the employment of any persons below the age of 14 years. Whereas in the chapter 9 of the act has a special provision with the section 85 dealing with the power to apply the act to certain premises, whereas the state government by notification declare that all this one or any provisions of the act will apply to any place where manufacturing process is carried out with or without the aid of the power. Next, the whatever the second, the act is related with the dock workers, related to safety, health, and welfare. This is initially it was in 1986, and the dock welfare safety, the regulations 1990. Considering the hazardous nature of the dock work, the ILO has earlier in 1929 adopted an international convention to protect the dock workers against the accidents. This convention was revised in 1932. The history of safety legislation of dock workers in India date back 1934, where the Indian Dock Labours Act 1934 was enacted to give effect to its ILO this one convention, that is protection against accidents, particularly dockers. Convention has been revised in 1932. The main objectives of Act was to make the working places and the working procedures safe. Due to the Second World War, the Indian Dock Labours Regulations Act 1948, framed under the Act, could be brought into force in the year 1948 only. The Act and the whatever the regulations were limited in scope, as they were covered only the safe aspects, and that too only for workers employed on board and along the side the ships, and thus a large number of workers engaged in other areas of the ports, such as transit sheds, warehouse, yards, like that, were not covered that time. So, as the necessity the arises to include the health and welfare provisions of the dock workers, that is a safety, health, and welfare scheme, in 1961, was this particular amendment was been made under the Dock and Workers Regulations of Employment Act to 1948 to cover the rest of the workers working elsewhere in the port premises. In order to ratify the ILO this one conventions, so 19 this is 152, and also to implement the recommendations of National Commissions of Labor, a unified act, that is the Dock Worker Safety, Health and Welfare Act 1986 was enacted, and the detailed Dock Worker Safety, Health and Welfare Regulation were framed in 1990. The enforcement of the act and the whatever the regulations is carried out by the this one inspectors of the dock safety functioning in all the major ports under the administration controls of the Director of General, that is the DGFASLI, Ministry of Labor, Government of India. The whatever the Director General of DGFSLI as a Chief Inspector of the Dock Safety is also responsible for the enforcement of manufacture, storage, import, hazardous chemicals rules. In 1985, framed under the Environmental Act, and in 1996 with the major ports. The whatever the dock workers, so that is the safety and the health and welfare regulation 1990 was framed under the section 20 of the Dock Workers Safety, Health and Welfare Act 1986. The regulation 9 to 94 in the part 3 of the Dock Workers Safety, that is Health and Welfare Regulation 1990, are covering the safety aspects in the working places, warehouses, storage places, decks, and the hatchways, etc. in the docks. So the lifting applications and gear, transport equipments and operations, handling of cargoes, handling of dangerous goods, then freight container terminals, miscellaneous regulations 95 to 99 in the part 4 of the Dock Worker Safety and Health Welfare Regulation 1990 are also covering the health aspects like cleanliness, drinking water, then latrines and urinals, then the spit-ons, ventilations and temperatures in dock area, including the reefer holds on ships. Regulations 100 to 109 in part 5 of the Dock Workers Regulation 1990 are covering the welfare facility like washing facilities, first aid box, ambulance room, then the ambulance carriage, stretchers, shelters, restrooms, launch rooms, canteen, medical examinations of dock workers, notices and welfare offices. So these are all about the Dock Workers Safety Act 1990. Now the third one is the Mines Act 1952 and other laws pertaining to the mines. In earlier years, when the mining activities were modest in scale, safety problems too were simple. With the progress in the exploration of the minerals, safety and persons employed become a matter of concern. In 1995, the Government of India initiated a step to frame a legislative measure for safety of the workmen. In 1897, the first major disaster in mining hit in the Kolar goldfield, killing around 52 persons. Soon after, the one more the coast coal mine disaster in the Balochistan, that is now it is in Pakistan, and before the partition of the India. So where the killing of the 47 peoples. Then these disasters give a warning to make the formulations of the safety laws, and the first Mine Act was enacted in 1901. With the further experiences, this fact was superseded by the Indian Mines Act 1923, which was again replaced by the present Mining Act as 1952, with the amendments in 1959, as well as on 27th December 1975, the whatever the Chasnal mining disaster occurred in coal mine in Chasnal near Dhanbad in the Bihar. Now it is in Jharkhand state. When the explosion in the mine, followed by the flood of the water, which killing the 372 miners, the roof of the whatever the coal caved in, resulting 7 million imperial gallons of water per minute flooding into the mines. The whatever the miners were there trapped under the mountains of the debris and drowned when the water surged into the mines. The Indian Iron and Steel Company, that is ISCO, which owned the mine, said it conformed to the international standards. That what we can see it in a Hindi film, that is Kala Patthar, which is depicting the tragedy, whatever it was made the film on that. The major changes were incorporated in the Act 1983. The Mines Act 1952 applies to mines to all minerals within the country, except the state of Sikkim, including the offshore mines within the limits of territorial water. For the administrating the previous whatever the provisions of Indian Mines Act 1901, the Government of India set up the Bureau of Mines Inspections on 7th January 1902, with the headquarters as a Calcutta. The name of the organization was changed to Department of Mines in 1904, and its headquarters shifted to the Dhanbad in 1908. On 1/1/1960, the organization was renamed as the Office of the Chief Inspector of the Mines. Since from 1/5/1967, the office has been the redesignated as the Directorate General of Mine Safety, that is DGMS in short. The whatever the Mines Act 1952 deals with the matters related to the safety, health, and welfare of the persons employed in mines, including oil mines. The Act specifies the provisions for regulating the employment of the persons, live with wages, duties, and the responsibilities of the owner, then agent and manager, drinking water, first aid, and the rest sensors, medical examinations, and occupational health surveys, notice of the accident and occupational diseases, in addition to the framing of rules, the regulations and bylaws of specific subjects, including the penalties provisions of the violations of this act. Now the whatever the following laws which deals with the OSH are applicable to the mines are the Mines Act 1952, that is the Coal Mines Regulations. In 1957, the Metalliferous Mines Regulations. Then 1961, Oil Mines Regulations. 1984, Mines Rules. 1955, Mines Vocational Training Rules. 1966, Mines Rescue Rules. 1985, Mines Crèche Rules. 1966, the Electricity Act. In 2003, Factories Act. Whatever the 1948 Act is there, of chapter this 3 and 4 is related with the manufacture, storage, and import of hazardous chemical rules. Then in 1985, whatever the under the Environmental Protection Act, the rule has been again modified, and in 1986, the Land Acquisition of Mines, and again in 1985, the Coal Conservation and Development Act. So like that, the changes has been or the amendment has been made to the 1952. Broadly, we can say it is a Coal Mines Regulation Act. Now the fourth one, whatever it is there, it is related with the building and other construction workers regulations of employment, as well as the Condition Service Act of 1996. Actually, the building and other construction workers regulations of employment and conditions of service act 1996 aims at regulating the employment and conditions of services of the building and other construction workers, and providing for their safety, health, and welfare measures. Whatever the Building and Other Construction Worker Act 1996, in chapter 7 under safety and health measures in section 38, deals with the safety committee and the safety officers in every established, whereas the 500 or more building workers are ordinarily employed. Then the section 39 deals with the notice of a certain accident, where in any establishment an accident occurs with the cause or a death which anybody is injuriously by reason of which the person injured is prevented from the working for a period of 48 hours or more immediately following the accident, or which is such a nature or may be prescribed. The employer shall give the notice thereafter to such authorities in such firm and within such time as may be prescribed. So the section 40 deals of this act for the power of the appropriate government to make the rules for the safety and health of building and other construction workers on the following matters. One by one, the whatever the section is there, it is deals with the number one. It is related with the safe means of access to and safety of any working place, including the provision of suitable and the sufficient scaffolding at various stages when the work cannot be safely done from the ground or for any part of the building, from a ladder or such means of support. Then next, the precautions to be taken in connections with the demolitions or whole or any substantial part of the building or other structures under the supervision of the competent person, and the avoidance of the danger from collapse of any building or other structure while removing any part of the frame building or other structures by shoring or otherwise. The next point is handling or use of explosive under the control of the competent persons, so that there is no exposure to the risk of injury from the explosion or from flying materials. The next one is the erection, the installation, use, and maintenance of the transportation equipments such as the locomotives, trucks, wagons, and other vehicles and trailers, and the appointment of the competent persons to drive or operate such equipments. And then is the erection, installation, use, and the maintenance of host lifting applications or the lifting gears, including periodical testing and examinations and heat treatment. Where necessary, the precautions to be taken while raising or lowering road, the whatever the restrictions on carriage of the persons, and the appointments of the competent persons to host and other lifting applications. Then adequate and suitable the lighting of every workplace and the approach they too of every places where rising or lowering operations with use of host lifting applications or lifting gears or in progress, and of all opening dangers to the building workers should be employed. Then the precautions to be taken to prevent the inhalation of the dust, fumes, gases, and vapors during any grinding, cleaning, spraying, or manipulations of any materials, and steps to be taken to secure and maintain adequate ventilations of every working places or the confined spaces. Then the measure to be taken during the stacking or unstacking, stowing or unstowing of materials or goods or handling in connections with there. Next one is the safeguard the machineries, including the fetching of every flywheels and every moving part of a prime movers and every part of the transmission or the other machineries, unless it is such as the position or such construction as to be safe to every worker working or any of the operations, and if whatever it is securely fenced. Then next one is the safe handling. So it is a use of the plants, including tools and equipments operated by the compressed air. Okay. Then the precautions to be taken in case of the fire. The whatever the limiting weight to be lifted or moved by the workers. Then safe transport of the workers two or four from any place by the water, and provision by means of rescue from any drawing. Then steps to be taken to prevent the dangers to the workers from live electrical wires or apparatus, including electrical machineries, tools from the overhead wirings. Then keep safety nets, safety seats, safety belts, where special nature or the circumstances of the work render them necessary for the safety of the workers. Then standards to be compliant with the regards to scaffolding, ladders, stairs, lifting applications, ropes, chains and accessories, earth moving equipments and the floating operational equipment. Then the precautions to be taken with regards to pile driving, concrete work, or work with hot asphalt or other similar things, installations, insulation works, demolition operations, excavations, underground constructions, and handling materials. The next, the safety policy is to there for the policy related steps to ensure the safety and health of the building workers, the administrative arrangements, and therefore the matters to be the whatever the connected here afterwards will be framed by the employers and contractors for the operations to be carried out in the building or other construction work. Next, the informations to be furnished to the Bureau of Indian Standards established under the Bureau of Indian Standard Act 1986, again in clause number 63, regarding the use of any articles or the process covered under the act in a building or other construction work. Next, the provision and maintenance of medical facilities for the building workers. Then the any other matter concerned with the safety and health workers working in any of the operations being carried out on the building or other construction work. So this one is the whatever the session 2. So in this session we have seen that occupational safety and health related act, that is called as OSHA, and occupational health and safety administration laws. Okay, so these are the laws governing OSHA, that is the occupational safety and health. So this is all about the health acts is concerned. Thank you.